Let me tell you something that might surprise you. Women never forget certain men, not because of how much money they had or how good-looking they were or how flashy they came across. No, we remember men who made us feel something different. And here's the truth. A lot of men don't realize. It's not always the guy with the biggest muscles, the sharpest suits, or the smoothest lines who stays in our heads. It's the man who does very specific things, subtle things that trigger something much deeper, inside us. See women get attention from men all the time. Compliments, messages, dates, even guys trying to impress us. It happens constantly, but most of it we forget. It blends together because it feels the same. What actually makes a man unforgettable isn't what most guys think. It's not over-the-top romance, and it's not being perfect. It's the little shifts in behavior, the moments where you stand out because you showed a side most men don't. That's why I want to be real with you in this video. I'm not here to give you fluffy advice or the typical dating cliches. I'm here to give you the truth. The things women talk about with each other, the things we admit behind closed doors, and the things we never forget when a man does them. Now, some of what I'm about to say might feel uncomfortable, maybe even a little provocative because it goes against what you've probably been told, but that's the point. If you actually want to stand out in a woman's mind, whether she's someone you're dating, someone you want, or even someone who once overlooked you, you need to understand these 5 things, because once you do, you'll realize it doesn't take being perfect to be unforgettable. It just takes knowing how women really work. And that's exactly what I'm about to show you. And by the way, if you're watching this and want to uncover more deep truths about human behavior, relationships, and hidden dynamics, be sure to subscribe to Dark Facts 2.0, where we dive into the reality behind what people really think and feel. 1. She never forgets the man who makes her feel safe. She never forgets the man who makes her feel safe. Let me be real with you here. A woman will always remember how a man made her feel. You can buy her gifts, take her to expensive dinners, or say all the right words. But if she doesn't feel safe with you, none of that sticks. And when I say safe, I don't just mean protecting her from physical danger, though that matters, too. I mean the kind of safety that goes much deeper: emotional safety, mental safety, and even spiritual safety. That's what a woman carries with her long after you're gone. Think about it like this. A woman is naturally wired to be cautious with her heart. She won't fully open up unless she knows you're not going to use her vulnerability against her. When she's with a man who doesn't judge her, who listens without turning her feelings into a weakness, she feels something rare: relief and trust. Women never forget that, because the truth is most men don't provide it. Many men either dismiss what she says, make her feel dramatic, or use her confessions as a weapon later. But the man who can hold space for her without making her feel foolish, that man lives in her memory forever. Imagine a moment where she's completely stressed. Maybe life is crashing down, or she's doubting herself. Most people would tell her to calm down or stop overthinking. But the man she never forgets doesn't do that. He looks at her steady and grounded and says, "I've got you. You don't need to figure this out alone." That's it. Just like that. Her walls drop. That's the kind of energy she will replay in her mind months, even years later. And here's what you need to know. This isn't about pretending to be her therapist, and it's not about trying to fix every problem she has. It's about showing her that she can let her guard down around you without being punished for it. A woman may forget the exact words you said, but she will never forget the way her chest felt lighter when she was with you. That's why this is powerful. Because no matter what happens later, even if she moves on, even if the relationship ends, she will carry that memory of safety with her. And once a woman has felt it, she can't unfill it. She'll compare every other man she meets to the one who gave her that sense of calm and security. So here's the truth. Women never forget the man who made them feel safe. Not because of money, not because of looks, but because that's the man who touched something far deeper than the surface. That's the man who stands out in her heart long after everything else fades. And let me add this. Safety also means consistency. Over time, a man who consistently shows up with that feeling of safety builds an unshakable place in her heart. This consistency is what turns fleeting moments into lifelong memories. 2. She never forgets the man who truly listens. She never forgets the man who truly listens. Here's something most men underestimate: the power of listening. And I don't mean the passive type of listening where you're just nodding while waiting for your turn to speak. I mean real active listening, where she feels seen, heard, and understood, without interruption or judgment. A woman never forgets the man who listens to her in a way that makes her feel like her voice actually matters. Why? Because it's rare. Most people listen to respond, not to understand, and women know this. She can tell when you're just pretending to pay attention, when your eyes glaze over, or when you jump straight into giving her solutions without absorbing what she actually said. But the man who slows down, locks in, and gives her his undivided presence, that man leaves an impression that sticks. Let me break this down. When a woman talks, she isn't always looking for answers. Sometimes she just wants to release what's been bottled up inside her. And the men who mess this up are the ones who either dismiss her feelings or try to fix everything instantly. That kills attraction. What keeps her connected is when you don't rush her, when you let her speak fully, and when you reflect back that you understand. Simple phrases like, "I hear you," or "that sounds tough," go further than most men realize, because it shows you're tuned into her, not just brushing her off. And here's the secret. When a woman feels listened to, she naturally feels closer to you. She opens up more. She trusts you more. And that bond you create isn't something she can replicate easily with just anyone. That's why the memory of it lingers. Even years down the road, she'll think about you and remember, he was the only one who actually listened to me without making me feel crazy or dramatic. Think about how rare that is in her world. Friends half listen. Coworkers cut her off. Family members might dismiss her, and most men only listen long enough to get what they want. But the man who genuinely gives her his presence stands out like light in the dark. That's the man she replays in her head when she's talking to someone new who doesn't measure up. So here's the truth. Listening is not about being passive, it's an active skill. It's about leaning in, catching the little details, remembering the things she tells you, and making her feel like her inner world matters. And when you do that, you become unforgettable. Not because you said the perfect words, but because you gave her the rare gift of being fully heard. That's why women never forget the man who listens. Because in a world full of noise, he's the one who gave her silent space and understanding. And that's powerful. And I want to emphasize here, that kind of listening builds emotional intimacy, the foundation. For any meaningful relationship, when she knows you really hear her, she feels safe enough to be her full self, and that creates a connection that time or distance can't easily erase. 3. She never forgets the man who protects her peace. She never forgets the man who protects her peace. Every woman values peace. And the truth is, most men don't realize how much it matters. A woman never forgets the man who made her life calmer, safer, and lighter, instead of stressful, chaotic, or heavy protection. Isn't only about shielding her from physical harm. It's about protecting her mental and emotional peace. And when you're the man who brings that kind of stability, you become impossible for her to erase from memory. Think about it. Many women go through life dealing with drama. Whether it's family issues, competitive friends, work stress, or even past toxic relationships. If you come into her world and add to that chaos, she'll eventually resent you. But if you're the man who brings calm into her storm, that impact stays with her forever. This doesn't mean you have to be perfect or emotionless. It means you know how to handle challenges without losing control, without projecting anger onto her, and without making her life harder. For example, if she's venting about something, you don't escalate it by being dismissive or reactive. Instead, you hold your composure. Let her feel safe around you and make her believe that with you, she doesn't have to constantly be on guard. What women will never admit out loud is that they deeply crave a man who can provide peace because it's so rare. Many men think they impress women with money looks or big gestures, but what makes him unforgettable is the emotional environment he creates. Was she relaxed around you? Did she feel like she could be herself without fear of judgment? Did your presence lower her anxiety instead of raising it? If the answer is yes, she'll remember you forever. Here's where most men mess up. They confuse protecting her peace with being a yes man, or avoiding conflict at all costs. That's not it. Protecting her peace also means setting boundaries, standing firm when needed, and not letting her drag you into unnecessary drama. Women respect men who can maintain control over themselves and refuse to live in chaos. That self-discipline gives her security, and security is unforgettable. Years later, even if she's with someone else, she'll compare him to you. If her new partner brings stress, arguments, or drama, she'll find herself thinking, "It was never like this with him. With him, I felt calm, I felt safe, and trust me, that comparison is powerful." So here's the lesson. You don't have to fight the world to be a protector. You just need to bring stability, calm, and clarity into her life. Be the man who protects her peace, and you'll live in her mind long after everything else fades. And just to add a deeper insight, this kind of protection fosters trust and emotional resilience. When she knows you are a source of peace, she can face her own challenges stronger and more confidently because she has a safe place to return to. Or she never forgets the man who challenges her. She never forgets the man who challenges her. Here's the truth most men don't realize: women might enjoy being admired, spoiled, and pursued, but they don't forget the man who challenges them. A man who isn't afraid to call her out, push her to grow, or refuse to tolerate her games, stands out in a way that burns into her memory. Why? Because he's rare. Most guys do the opposite. They bend over backward, agree with everything she says, and avoid conflict at all costs. At first, she might like the attention, but deep down, she doesn't respect it. When a man never challenges her, she sees him as predictable, easy to manipulate, and eventually forgettable. But when a man is different, when he's strong enough to challenge her behavior, her mindset, or even her comfort zone, he triggers something deeper in her. It's not about being confrontational for no reason. It's about refusing to be a pushover. And here's what that means. It means having the courage to be honest even when it's uncomfortable. It means pushing her to be better without tearing her down. It means holding her accountable in a way that shows you care more about her growth than just pleasing her. This kind of challenge sparks respect. It creates tension that fuels attraction because it shows strength and integrity. A woman remembers the man who made her question herself, not to hurt her, but to help her evolve. That man becomes a benchmark against whom she measures everyone else. Because he's not just a yes man or a convenience. He's someone who dared to be real. Someone who saw her potential and refused to let her settle for less. And this isn't about conflict for conflict's sake. It's about meaningful interactions that deepen the connection and create an emotional spark that stays alive. And the truth is, many women crave this kind of push even if they don't say it out loud, because it reminds them they're worth growth, worth effort, and worth being seen fully. So if you want to be unforgettable, be that man who challenges her with respect, honesty, and love. And remember, it's a rare gift and a powerful legacy to leave in a woman's heart. 5. She never forgets the man who sees her fully. She never forgets the man who sees her fully. And when I say sees her, I don't just mean noticing her looks or complimenting her style. I mean the man who truly sees beneath the surface into the layers. Most people never take the time to understand. A woman never forgets the man who looks at her and sees not just who she is today, but who she's becoming. The man who doesn't try to mold her into what he wants, but instead sees the real her and still chooses to stay. Most people only see what they want to see. A pretty face, a personality that serves their needs, or someone who fits into their life conveniently. But the man who takes the time to understand her fears, her dreams, her insecurities, and her strengths stands out in a way she can't explain. That's because most people don't slow down long enough to understand her soul. And here's what most men don't realize. When you make a woman feel deeply seen, you give her something she can't unfeel. It's a form of intimacy that runs far deeper than physical connection. When she feels seen in a way that makes her feel safe, accepted, and celebrated, She will always remember that version of herself. She became around you. Let me paint a picture. Imagine she's had a hard day. She doesn't want to talk much. Her smile is forced. Her energy is off. Most people wouldn't notice, or they'd ask what's wrong in a shallow way just to check a box. But you, the man who truly sees her, you notice the shift. You don't press, but you're present. You don't push, but you stay close. And later, when she opens up and tells you what's really going on, you don't just listen, you understand. You remember the things she told you 3 weeks ago. You connect the dots, you see the deeper story, and you hold it with care. That moment right there, that moment is unforgettable. Because in a world where she often feels overlooked or misunderstood, you made her feel like she mattered completely. That kind of emotional recognition stays with her because it's rare and powerful. The man who sees her fully is the man who reminds her. She's more than enough just as she is, that she doesn't have to perform or hide parts of herself, that she doesn't have to downplay her ambition, her emotions, her quirks, or her depth. And that level of connection, the kind that makes her feel emotionally naked, yet still loved and valued, that creates a bond. She'll measure every future connection against, even if you two part ways. Even if life moves on, she'll remember you as the man who looked at her and didn't just see a body or a face, but a whole person. That kind of seeing heals wounds that were never spoken out loud. And long after you're gone, she'll replay the version of herself she was when she was with you, because that version felt most alive, most seen, most accepted. So here's the truth. If you want to be unforgettable, it's not about always saying the right thing or doing everything perfectly. It's about presence, depth, and truth. It's about how you make her feel when she's with you and how you continue to exist in her mind after you're gone. You don't need to be rich or perfect or insanely charming. You just need to show up differently than the rest. And once you do that, once you tap into the deeper emotional layers, you'll realize the power you hold as a man. Because women never forget the man who saw them when no one else did, who listened when no one else had patience, who brought peace when everything felt heavy, who challenged them to grow without making them feel small, and who made them feel safe enough to be real. That's the man who lives in her memory. Not for a week, not for a season, but forever. And if you found truth in this message and you want more insights like this, truths about what really makes people connect and stay connected, subscribe right now to Dark Facts 2. G. This isn't just another channel. It's a place where we tell you what others won't. The real stories, the real psychology, and the raw facts that help you rise above the noise. Because once you understand how to connect on this level, everything in your life changes.